The dream always started the same. It was a recurring nightmare that haunted my childhood, a relentless specter that visited me night after night. I was a child again, trapped in my childhood bed. The familiar surroundings of my room, once a sanctuary, now felt like a prison. The moonlight cast eerie shadows on the walls, transforming ordinary objects into menacing figures. A cold dread seeped into the room, an invisible force that wrapped around me like a shroud. The once comforting glow of the nightlight now seemed sinister, casting long, twisted shadows that danced on the walls. The air grew heavy, difficult to breathe. It felt as though the very atmosphere was pressing down on me, suffocating me with an unseen weight. Then, the sounds began. Soft, muffled thuds from somewhere in the house, footsteps creaking closer. Each step echoed through the silence, a harbinger of the terror that was to come. The sound of the floorboards creaking under an unseen weight sent chills down my spine. I knew, even in the dream, that something was terribly wrong. My heart raced, pounding in my chest like a drum. The fear was palpable, a living entity that seemed to feed off my terror. I would wake up, heart pounding, drenched in a cold sweat. The transition from the nightmare to reality was jarring, leaving me disoriented and terrified. The fear lingered, refusing to dissipate with the morning light. The dream felt real, the fear clinging to me like cobwebs. It was as if the nightmare had a life of its own, a malevolent presence that refused to let go. The sensation of being trapped, of being watched, stayed with me long after I awoke. It wasn't until years later, standing in the heart of the Villisca Axe Murder House, that I understood why this nightmare haunted me. The house, with its dark history and eerie atmosphere, felt disturbingly familiar. It was as if the nightmares of my childhood had been a premonition, a warning of the horrors that had taken place within these walls. The realization hit me like a tidal wave, bringing with it a sense of dread and unease. The connection between my dreams and this place was undeniable, a chilling reminder of the darkness that lurks in the shadows of our past. The Villisca Axe Murder House. Even the name sends chills down your spine. It's a place frozen in time, a gruesome snapshot of a night of unimaginable horror. In 1912, an entire family, along with 2 young guests, were brutally murdered in their sleep. The killer, never found. As an investigator of the unknown, I'm drawn to places like Villisca. Places where the veil between our world and the next feels thin. Places where the echoes of tragedy linger, whispering their secrets to those who dare to listen. Stepping inside the Villisca house is like stepping back in time. The moment you cross the threshold, you are transported to an era long past, where every corner of the house whispers tales of its storied history. The air is thick with the weight of history, heavy with the memory of what happened here. It's as if the very walls have absorbed the emotions, the fear, and the sorrow of that fateful night, and now they exhale it back into the room. The furniture, the belongings, even the toys scattered on the floor, all remain untouched, preserved as they were on that fateful night. Each item tells a story, a snapshot of a life interrupted. The rocking chair that no longer rocks, the doll that no longer brings joy, all frozen in time. But it's the silence that gets to you. It's not just any silence, it's a silence that seems to have a presence of its own. A silence that fills the room and presses down on you. A silence so profound, so absolute that it feels almost alive. It wraps around you, making you acutely aware of every creak of the floorboards, every rustle of the wind outside. It's a silence that demands to be felt, to be acknowledged. It's the silence of absence, of lives brutally cut short. It's a silence that speaks louder than any words could, a silence that tells the story of a tragedy that time has not been able to erase. And in that silence, you can almost hear them. The echoes of laughter that once filled these rooms, the whispers of conversations that were abruptly ended. It's as if the house itself is trying to communicate, to share its sorrowful tale with anyone who will listen. The whispers of the dead, they seem to linger in the air just out of reach, a haunting reminder of the lives that were lost. It's a place where the past and present coexist, where the silence is a bridge between the living and the dead, a silence that will never be broken. The first night in the Villisca house is one I'll never forget. We set up our cameras, our sensors, all the while trying to ignore the prickling sensation on the back of our necks. The feeling that we were being watched. As darkness fell, the house seemed to come alive. Shadows danced at the edge of our vision. Unexplained noises, whispers, and sighs were picked up on our audio recorders. the hair on my arms stood on end. This was no ordinary investigation. This was something else. A cold spot. We were in the children's bedroom, the room where the two young guests were found, when we encountered the cold spot. It was a sudden, intense chill, localized to a small area near the foot of the bed. The temperature plummeted, our breath misting in the air. Cold spots are often associated with paranormal activity. Some believe they are caused by spirits drawing energy from their surroundings. Whatever the explanation, the cold spot in the children's bedroom was undeniable, and it was terrifying. Section 6. The Axe. This chapter delves into one of the most chilling aspects of the Villisca house, a place shrouded in mystery and fear. The attic of the Villisca house is a dark and oppressive space. It's a place where the air feels heavy, and the shadows seem to move on their own. Cobwebs hang from the rafters, and dust coats the floorboards. Every step you take stirs up a cloud of dust, making it hard to breathe. It was here, according to legend, that the killer hid, waiting for the family to fall asleep. The thought of someone lurking in the darkness, biding their time, sends chills down your spine. As we moved through the stifling air, we noticed something strange. The atmosphere was thick with an unspoken tension, as if the walls themselves held their breath. A glint of metal in the corner, half hidden under a pile of old rags. It caught our eye immediately, a stark contrast to the surrounding gloom. We carefully moved the debris aside, and there it was. The anticipation was palpable, each movement deliberate and cautious. An axe head, rusted and dull with age. It lay there, a silent witness to the horrors that had unfolded in this very space. The air grew thick with dread. It was as if the very essence of fear had seeped into the walls, making it hard to think, hard to move. Was this the murder weapon? The question hung in the air, heavy and oppressive, much like the atmosphere of the attic itself. The rusted axe head seemed to hold a story, a dark and twisted tale of violence and despair. As we stood there, staring at the relic, we couldn't help but feel a connection to the past, a link to the tragic events that had transpired in this haunted house. The Villisca house has always been a place of intrigue and fear. Many have tried to uncover its secrets, but few have dared to venture into the attic, where the true horror lies. The discovery of the axe head adds another layer to the mystery, a tangible piece of evidence that ties us to the past. The Villisca murders have been the subject of countless investigations, documentaries, and ghost hunts. Each piece of evidence, each new discovery, brings us closer to understanding what happened on that fateful night. The axe head, rusted and forgotten, is a grim reminder of the violence that took place. As we walked through the attic, the weight of history pressed down on us. Every creak of the floorboards, every whisper of the wind, seemed to echo the cries of the past. The attic, with its dark corners and hidden secrets, is a place where time stands still, where the past and present collide. Touching the axe head, we felt a connection to the past, a link to the tragic events that had unfolded in this very space. The rusted metal, cold and unyielding, seemed to pulse with a dark energy, a reminder of the lives that were lost. Looking out of the attic window, we could see the Villisca house in its entirety. It stood there, silent and imposing, a testament to the horrors that had taken place within its walls. The attic, with its dark secrets and hidden horrors, is a place that will forever be etched in our memories. As we made our way down the attic stairs, we couldn't shake the feeling of unease. The discovery of the axe head had brought us closer to the truth, but it had also opened up new questions, new mysteries to unravel. The Villisca house, with its dark past and haunted present, is a place that will continue to captivate and terrify those who dare to explore its depths. No escape. We spent the rest of the night huddled in the living room, the only room in the house with any semblance of warmth. The silence was broken only by the creaking of the house and the frantic beating of our hearts. Sleep was impossible. Every creak of the floorboard, every rustle of leaves outside the window sent shivers down our spines. We were trapped in the house with whatever or whoever haunted its halls. Villisca's grip. Dawn broke over the Villisca house, casting a pale light on the tragedy that had unfolded within its walls. We emerged from the house, exhausted and shaken, but forever changed by our experience. The Villisca Axe Murder House is more than just a haunted location. It's a stark reminder of the darkness that can lurk in the human heart. It's a place where the past refuses to stay buried, where the echoes of violence and terror still reverberate through the years. Section 9. Haunted by the Truth. I haven't had the nightmare since my visit to Villisca, maybe facing my fears head-on, confronting the darkness that haunted my dreams, somehow laid them to rest. Or maybe, just maybe, the spirits of Villisca decided to let me go. But one thing's for sure, I'll never forget my time in that house. The silence, the shadows, the chilling feeling of being watched. Villisca stays with you, a haunting reminder that some mysteries are better left unsolved.